Right. Good evening, everybody. It's always good to see you here. We are starting our episode. Let me call it an episode of Team Training Tuesday. I like to call it Applied Neolife. And a few weeks ago, we were chatting about possible topics. And one of us decided that it would be nice to know what to do about belly fat, because it is a growing problem, isn't it? We see it more and more often. And so, yes, the question is, what actually causes belly fat? And is there a quick fix for it? I don't know. I don't think so. We often say prevention is better than cure. In this case, is prevention becoming too difficult? That's a question that we need to always wonder at. Ask why isn't my hashtag. It simply stands for always seek knowledge. What hurts you? Alternatively, always seek knowledge. What helps you? So I hope that we have things that will help us and ways that will help us. Belly fat is otherwise called central adiposity. It's described as when the belly is larger than the hips. What central adiposity means, and this is a doctor at Stanford University, Dr. Gerald Raven. He said that it is a clear indicator of insulin resistance. Now, let's hold that thought and actually give it some time to be digested in our minds. The solution to this problem of insulin resistance is not reducing cholesterol, but rather keeping blood sugar stable. That is the solution. Do you remember those days when we used to measure children like that? You know, would measure a growing child by their height. But today, even children, this is the point of this slide, even children are developing belly fat. So it is something that we should be concerned about. And let's talk about the significance of it, metabolic syndrome. Now, that is a syndrome that is known very well in the medical circles. We used to call it Syndrome X in those years before they decided to call it the metabolic syndrome. But Syndrome X immediately tells you that they really don't know what the cause is. But now we know that it is a pre-diabetes situation. And pre-diabetes per se is usually associated with excess insulin, not a deficiency of insulin, excess. It's so unfortunate that as soon as it is diagnosed, from the symptoms and the signs and even reading the blood sugar, they might choose then to give insulin already in a situation of excess. So just park that thought and again, think about it. Think about it. If it is excess insulin, why then does the practice of medicine say that we should give our patients more insulin? We can argue. Okay, then high blood pressure. I'm talking about the parts of the metabolic syndrome. That's the other thing, high blood pressure. And high blood pressure is which is partly due to the high insulin levels. Isn't that interesting? And then dangerously high levels of blood fats. That's another thing, part of the metabolic syndrome. Dangerously high levels of blood fats, which are generally measured by measuring the cholesterol. And those can be accompanied by tissue damage, such as the liver and the kidneys. And then another thing is weight gain. That is such a key indicator of the metabolic syndrome, and particularly if it is central adiposity. Now, this is what we are seeing, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen, on this, running to what we have to offer, which is lifestyle change. You will agree with me. They still queue up for a quick fix because lifestyle change is not a quick fix. It is actually a change in lifestyle. So as you can see, there is quite an aspect of that lifestyle that I want to touch on is craving. We are all under assault, if I can call it that. We are all being exposed to foods and smells and all sorts of things that can be. It's described as the desire for something, the powerful desire for something. And the origin of this word is actually to demand or to claim as a right. That's the origin of that word. You know, I love finding out what words mean. And if I can dissect them and bring more understanding, I do. So that is the origin of craving, to demand or claim as a right. And that is what our bodies are slowly, especially the palate and the brain, are slowly being made to believe that we have a right to foods such as sugar, snacks. Those are examples of cravings. Beverages such as alcohol and caffeine. And then drugs, either recreational or pharmaceutical. A lot of the pharmaceutical drugs are now classed as capable of causing cravings. A lot of people, before doing anything or finding out why there's a pain, they'll quickly reach for the painkiller because it will, for a few minutes or hours, take away that pain. And activities can also lead to cravings. So please remember one thing, a commonly overlooked cause of cravings in today's world of abundant, convenient, and highly processed foods is malnutrition. No kidding. Malnutrition is perhaps the biggest reason that people will crave for certain foods, beverages, and maybe even activities. And those of you who remember in the villages, some women, even in cities, when they're pregnant and they crave for certain foods, some go as far as actually eating soil, okay? That is a sign of malnutrition, specifically anemia. So cravings, remember that. So you, I'm sure, have all had this objection. Do we really need to supplement? Do we really need to buy your products? Do we? And they ask all those questions. Well, vitamin B complex is very important. Deficiency till it is too late. So late that maybe later on they will have developed the very topic that we are discussing, which is central adiposity or belly fat. Then the main role of the vitamins, for example, is actually to turn food into energy. Again, just park that thought somewhere, because if food is not being turned into energy, what will happen? It gets stored, okay? So this is very important for proper functioning of cells, that food is turned into energy. Then remember that vitamins, and that's why they are called vitamins, are critical for our health. So again, when somebody asks you, do we really need to supplement vitamins? Yes, they are critical for our health. They are very often deficient in our diets. And that's why we must be able to trust the source. And we all know, those of us who are linked to this family, that whole food, human food sources we'll just touch on them. Again, it's very important that we have enough of them in our diet, again, to remove those health issues such as craving that lead to health problems. Chromium, this is very important because it enhances insulin signaling, thereby increasing insulin sensitivity. Remember the slide a couple of slides ago when I said it is insulin resistance that is that it underpins belly fat, okay? This, therefore, chromium, increasing insulin sensitivity, will affect carbohydrate, protein, and fat metabolism. It will enhance it, it will be more efficient. Then others, those are very, very important for enzymes and multiple bodily functions. And then, of course, this is another reason you will always give in, as you are explaining why we need to supplement. Due to modern food growing and processing, we are all deficient in minerals, and therefore we need to supplement. Simple, straightforward. You will be faced with arguments, so you can defend your argument. Central to the creation of cravings is the sensation created by the interplay of hormones. Now, I want to bring in the hormonal side of this. Apart from deficiencies, there is also what is going on with the hormones in your system. There is a hormone called dopamine. A lot of it is created in the gut. It is also created in other tissues, and it acts on the brain. There are centers there that have dopamine receptors, and those are the pleasure responses. So you can imagine if a food is full of sugar, and each time that food is eaten, it creates a lot of pleasure. Obviously, wanting to have that food more and more will happen, and that's what we call a craving. And then cortisol and adrenaline are stress hormones. The more people are stressed, the more they will reach for those foods that release energy quickly. In other words, they also spike the insulin levels quite high. Stress is a big cause of central adiposity, otherwise known as belly fat. And I really need to emphasize this point. A lot of stress is happening in society today, and stress even in our children. And that's why we're seeing the growing problem of belly fat. Discussing hormones here. Insulin that spikes in response to all food, but spikes very high in response to foods rich in sugar and which are also metabolized into simpler sugars, can be, as a result of those high spikes, become quite imbalanced. And we've actually been discussing insulin quite a lot. Now, there's another hormone called ghrelin. That hormone stimulates appetite, and it also increases food intake and promotes fat storage. So if there is an imbalance in ghrelin, where the appetite is always stimulated, then there is a tendency to overeat, and that will promote fat storage, and that will promote belly fat. So when you're teaching your clients or your family members or yourselves, remember that there is no single thing, okay? We've discussed this on several occasions, but it is worth repeating. Common symptoms of hormonal imbalances, those are they. It can be in men and women, but they are symptoms that can occasion a visit to check out what is wrong. And very often, tests will come back that, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. But the client or the person, the individual, is feeling symptoms. More symptoms such as mood disorders, persistent anxiety, memory loss, sleep disorders, unintended weight changes, particularly gain in weight. All those symptoms, they can turn you can be turned inside out, and they'll check the blood results and everything comes back perfectly normal, but you are feeling it. So the purpose of this exercise is, now I want to bring in an interesting slant to all this, and that is the importance of keeping your liver healthy. And the liver, believe me, is taking a big battering from the modern lifestyle and diet. The liver is the key detox organ in the body. It's important for detoxing all the blood all the time. A lot of, a high percentage of blood goes via the liver every minute. So by the liver. So if the liver, picture this, if the liver is also accumulating a lot of fat in it as a result of the general fat that is going on, resulting in adiposity, central adiposity or belly fat, then the liver is hampered. It will not be able to metabolize or to break down those hormones. And then those hormones will linger. And if they linger, they get recycled and then they have the effect. If it is stress hormones, they stick around and cause more stress. If they're estrogens, they stick around and estrogen leads to quite significant weight gain or laying down of fat. Then the other thing, elimination. I'm sure if I were to ask you, how many of you know people who have a challenge with going to the toilet? They are constipated and they might go to the toilet maybe twice a week or 3 times a week, when in fact, proper elimination is every day, okay? So recycled. Then the role of xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens is a huge class of, such as in exhaust fumes, such as additives to our skincare creams, and all those things that we use on a day-to-day basis if we are buying them from other sources, such as in detergents. Detergents are packed with xenoestrogens. There's a class of them called phthalates that actually mimic our natural estrogens, displace our natural estrogens, and cause a lot of imbalance in our bodies. So remember to keep the liver healthy, advise people to do that. So what is the most important first step to address in order to overcome cravings and thereby overcome belly fat? I've put the word here in one of my favorite colors, mindset. And I'm bringing it up because all of us at one point or another have been questioned about why we do this business. What is it about Neolife that really has turned our heads to the extent that we want everybody to know about it, okay? Mindset. So we have to deal with a lot of mindset changes and issues, even with ourselves, okay? So it always starts with ourselves before we go out. So I just want everybody to understand, and myself included, we need to get to know our triggers, get to know your triggers. Please don't ignore them, because once a craving is established, it becomes harder to deal with. Please mute. And ultimately causes diseases and disease, okay? And here we are saying that we want to end the trend of chronic disease. We are on that mission. And I just want us to be assured that it is never too late to make different choices. It is really never too late. So as regards lifestyle, please remember that in order to be really healthy, you have to remember the diet. You need to remember to rest adequately. You need to remember to exercise, and there's no shortcut about any of these things. You need to remember to manage stress and to learn ways of managing stress. We can't eliminate stress, but we can find ways of managing it. And I want us to highlight the value, as I have already, of supplementation with good quality supplements. Now, underlying every disease process are these two processes, inflammation and oxidative damage. And that is something that we need people to understand, so that inflammation, they need to first ask, before stopping any inflammation, first ask, what is the cause of this and how can I address it at the root cause? So in summary, this is what belly fat looks like. The abdominal cavity is also full of what we call visceral for the skin, called subcutaneous fat. Cutaneous simply means skin. So under the skin and then around the vessel, the organs within. And that's actually the body's response to quite a lot of things that are going on. It might be chemical toxicity, or it might simply be stress and mental and psychological toxicity, or it might be general unhappiness due to life circumstances resulting in, again, that kind of toxicity. It might be food that is full of the toxins that then the body tries to cushion off vital organs, and that's why the fat develops. And when it gets to that extent, it can be very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it can be very difficult if the person in question has not time to, I'm just going back to a slide, has not been given the chance to examine their mindset. I'm particularly interested in this way of approach where we really try and help each other rather than the person coming to me and I say, I know it all. I'm going to fix you with this drug and that drug and the other drug. That is the traditional model of practice. But if as people in the family, this family, know that you get to know your own mindset and the mindset of your clients and friends and relatives, that means you're actually going to build relationships and know how to help them to overcome this challenge. I hope I've made myself perfectly clear. So the good news is, and I love good news, we have solutions to share. We absolutely have solutions to share. And here they are, and I will go through them quite quickly so that there is an opportunity to discuss. I did say solutions. These are solutions. These are cleaning products. We are sold concentrates. You use your own water, you save a lot of money. They are very, very effective. They will not poison you. They will not poison the environment. They will not poison your children. They are economical. They use less water than the others, which you try so hard to wash away the residues that the others leave. And they work. They absolutely work. This one can clean your fruits and vegetables, as it can do a lot of other things. You'll learn details of these cleaning products as we go along for the guests on the call. And then this is one of my favorite products because by using 2 kilos of this laundry compound and getting over 150 washes, I only use 2 of these a year. Mine actually, what I do, I actually put a date. So the last one I opened was on the 26th of June, 2021. Yes, 26th June, 2021. Today is the 1st of February, 2022. When I next do laundry, that's when it will get finished because I think there are 2 scoops left. That means it has taken me about 7 months, okay? Granted, we might be few in the family, but the same compound goes into my dishwasher as well. And I only need half a teaspoon, if even that. Sometimes I use just a 1/4 teaspoon. So they're very, very economical, but they're also, and please agree with me if you believe the same. Everyone wants to make their part of the world healthier and happier. Am I right? So let's talk about the nutrition. I always introduce the cleaning products for the reason that everybody does cleaning in their homes. And for the reason also that by freeing up money from that you do by saving, you will then be able to afford more of these products. So there's a logical order to all this. Now, these are our core nutrition products. Pro Vitality. Pro Vitality looks like that. It has those 4 items. I'm going to zero in on this one called omega-3, but all of them are very important. That's why they're packaged together. There's Treanin, omega-3 salmon oil plus. There's the antioxidant to protect your cells and also to protect the omega-3 because you don't want it to be damaged by oxidative damage. And then of course the vitamins and minerals that I pointed out were very, very important. So let's talk about omega-3 fatty acids. Very beneficial for heart health. Remember, in the metabolic syndrome, the heart takes a strain. Controlling inflammation. Remember, belly fat is largely as a result of inflammation. Maintaining flexible joints. If there's weight gain, the joints take a battering. Promoting emotional health. That is a reason for stress, and that can lead to central adiposity or belly fat. Support the healing process, very, very important, and of course, eyes. Now, Neolife Omega-3 is the only one on the market anywhere that is complete. It has 8 omegas, and only our Salmon Oil Plus will deliver all the principal 8 omega-3 fatty acids that are involved in human nutrition. And because of inflammation that I have really hammered on, omega-3 has been shown to lower the inflammatory index by 68%, and also to displace the pro-inflammatory oils that we have in our diet, such as from cooking oil. And if you're still using margarine, I want to encourage you to perhaps stop. But yes, there are oils in our diets that are very inflammatory and contribute to the formation of belly fat. So why is such a broad range of effects important with omega-3? They regulate cellular function. Omega-3 fatty acids will help to fight disease by reducing inflammation in blood vessels. Very, very important. And all these other places. And I'm just emphasizing it so that you actually have your facts lined up for the next time that you are asked questions. Right, and then we have protein. They contain all the 22 amino acids. It's very important to build adequate muscle mass. A lot of people with high belly fat have poor muscle quality. And once they start building their muscle quality, then the fat will reduce of necessity as time goes on, because one of the things that they do have to do and are advised to do is to start exercising. And a lot of people will not exercise adequately because their muscles have been deteriorating over time. And if they're children, their muscles haven't been built up properly, has been formulated to ensure that the glycemic response control, it has glycemic response control in a tight zone, rather than having those huge roller coasters of blood sugar and therefore insulin. It is within a narrow zone. And you will remember that doctor that I quoted, Dr. Gerald Raven of Stanford University, who said that the problem is actually the result of poor sugar control. Well, here is the solution, Neolife Shake. And it also gives you a good quality of protein, 18 grams, and fiber to solve that problem of elimination. All right, and then obviously it is a full meal with vitamins and minerals. And it does not pack you with sugars that will then cause weight issues. Detoxification, very, very important at a cellular level to remove those toxins that then linger and cause the body to respond by laying down fat. Please remember that fact. Now, other things, threonine to balance hormones and to build each and every cell. It provides you with the lipids and sterols that are required. Vitamin B complex, I've mentioned it, good for energy production by the cells. I like this pack very much for those people who like convenience, because it gives you vitamin B, vitamin C. It also gives you vitamin E. It also gives you multi-mineral, and it gives you formula 4, 2 capsules of formula 4 to cover that gap of the threonine and vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. A very good pack. And then CalMag, very, very important, calcium and magnesium with vitamin D. Magnesium as a standalone is now available everywhere. And then botanical balance, key to promote blood sugar balance, but also it is a very powerful anti-inflammatory. We have talked about inflammation at length. You want good anti-inflammatories on board. And then CoQ10. I want to let all of you in on a secret. I've been using it for about 2 years because East Africa got it before South Africa by about 2 years. And that is when my weight management fell into place. I may have battled otherwise because I'm at that age where in my 20s, but now with This mitochondrial energy, it's the parts of the cell called the mitochondria that actually produce energy. And then I just want to point out cruciferous plus. We've talked about estrogens. We've talked about promoting detoxification systems. We've talked about a healthy liver. This is all the products have a role to play. Yours is to use the product. And in order to use the product, it is advisable to build the business. There are lots of business presentations that are held. I hope you attend them. And I would love to stop and we can have a discussion. Thank you very much. You are all welcome to participate in the discussion.